Welcome to the daily news analysis by CivicCentre IAS, where we try to discuss the important articles, top 10 topics from today's Hindu, the Indian Express, and the PIB for the UPSC CSE Prelims 2025. Displayed are the list of topics which we have chosen for today's discussion. The first article of the day says that in response to the increasing Chikungunya cases in Telangana, the US Centers for Defense Control and Prevention has issued a level 2 travel advisory for US travelers returning from Telangana. In this context, let us talk about the Chikungunya disease, like the various aspects, how is it transmitted, the transmission cycle, and symptoms. Okay. Now, what is Chikungunya? See, the Chikungunya is a mosquito-borne viral disease caused by the Chikungunya virus. Know that it is a RNA virus in the alpha virus genus of the family Togaviridae. Notably, the name derives from the Kimankode language, meaning to become contorted, referring to the severe joint pain caused by the disease. Then, how is the virus transmitted? See, it is transmitted primarily by the Aedes aegypti and the Aedes albopictus mosquitoes, which also transmit the dengue and the chicken Zika viruses. Looking at its transmission cycle, see, first the mosquito feeds on the infected person. Then the virus replicates in the mosquito, and lastly the mosquito transmits the virus to a new host during feeding. Interestingly, the Aedes mosquito bites during the daylight hours, and furthermore, they lay eggs in the containers with standing water. Now, what about the symptoms for this disease? See, the symptoms begin within 4 to 8 days after a mosquito bite. Some of the common symptoms include abrupt fever, severe joint pain, joint swelling, muscle pain, headache, nausea, fatigue, and rash. Now let us look at its diagnostics. How do you think it is detected? See, a RT-PCR test detects the virus during the first week of the illness. Then we have the antibody test, which detects immune response post the infection. How is the disease treated then? See, there is no specific treatment for just a symptomatic management, but just the symptomatic management by taking paracetamol or the acetaminophen for the fever and pain. Furthermore, to avoid the NSAIDs until the dengue is rolled out, so the rest and hydration are recommended. Notably, none of the vaccines are currently licensed and several are under development. These are the precautions that can be taken for the prevention and control of the virus. The second article of the day says that the Supreme Court Collegium, in its first resolution after the Justice Sanjeev Khanna took over as the Chief Justice of India on November 11th, recommended appointment of the Madras High Court Judge Justice D. Krishna Kumar as the Manipur High Court Chief Justice on Monday. In this context, let us talk about the appointment of the Chief Justices for High Courts in India. See, the Article 217 Clause 1 of the Constitution of India governs the appointment of the judges and the Chief Justice of a High Court. Notably, the President of India is the one who appoints the Chief Justice of a High Court. Know that the appointment is made after the consultation with the Chief Justice of India and the Governor of the respective state. Then, what is the eligibility criteria for it as per the Article 217? See, to be appointed as a judge or the Chief Justice of a High Court, a person must be a citizen of India, then should have held a judicial office in India for at least 10 years, or should have been an advocate of a high court or 2 or more high courts in succession for at least 10 years. Now, moving on to talk about the Memorandum of Procedure. See, the Memorandum of Procedure lays down the detailed procedure for the appointment. Some of the key points of this MOP include: so firstly, the Chief Justice of India recommends the names for the Chief Justice of High Courts based on seniority and merit. Then, this recommendation is sent to the Union Minister of Law and Justice, who forwards it to the Governor of the concerned state. So, the Governor provides the feedback and consultation to the President. Finally, after considering the inputs, the President issues the warrant of appointment. Now, talking about the seniority in the Collegium system with this respect, see, the seniority among the High Court judges is a major criterion for the appointment of the Chief Justices. Significantly, the Collegium system comprising of the Chief Justice of India and 2 most senior judges of the Supreme Court plays a pivotal role in recommending the appointments and transfers. The third article of the day says that the Competition Commission of India on Monday imposed a penalty of 213.214 crores on social media major Meta for unfair business ways with respect to the WhatsApp privacy or policy update done in 2021. In this context, we'll talk about the Competition Commission of India. See, the Competition Commission of India is a regulatory body in India responsible for promoting and also maintaining the healthy competition in the marketplace. Know that it is the chief national competition regulator in India. Talking about its legal framework, see, this commission operates under the Competition Commission Act of 2002, which was enacted by the Government of India. Significantly, the act was introduced to prevent anti-competitive practices, protect the consumer interests, and also promote the competition in Indian markets. Know that the commission consists of one chairperson and 6 members who shall be appointed by the central government. Remember that the nodal ministry is the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Moving on to talk about the objectives of the commission. See, firstly, it is to eliminate the practices having adverse effect on competition. Secondly, the commission is to promote and sustain the competition. Thirdly, to protect the interests of the consumers. And lastly, to ensure the freedom of trade in the markets of India. Then what about the powers? See, the first ones are the investigative powers, under which it inquires into anti-competitive practices such as cartels, abuse of dominance, and mergers. Then, with respect to the search and seizure of evidence, and also summoning the witnesses and obtaining the documents from businesses. The second ones are the adjudicatory powers. Under this, to issue the orders to stop the anti-competitive conduct and to impose penalties up to 10% of the turnover on the companies violating these competition laws. Thirdly, merger and acquisition control. Under this, firstly, to review and approve the mergers and acquisitions that may affect the market competition, and then to block or modify the mergers that harm the competition. Then under the advocacy, to promote the competition awareness and to educate businesses and consumers and to engage with other regulators to align the policies. Then to issue temporary orders to prevent further harm during the investigations. Further, it is to grant the exceptions for the agreements that benefit innovation or public welfare. And lastly, the decisions can be appealed to the Competition Appellate Tribunal and ultimately to the Supreme Court also. The next article here says that on trade and economy, the points of convergence between India's business interests and Trumponomics are the beginning to get comprehensible. So the one potential area of the mutual interest between India and USA could be the small modular reactors, which is something New Delhi is increasingly viewing as an area of strategic interest, and President-elect Donald Trump appears to be keen to push it. In this context, we'll talk about the small modular reactors. See, the small modular reactors, in short called the SMRs, are advanced nuclear reactors with a power capacity of up to 300 megawatt electric per unit, approximately 1/3 of the capacity of traditional nuclear reactors. Significantly, they generate low carbon electricity, which is through the nuclear fission, and are designed to be small and modular, which allows them for factory assembly and also transport to various locations. If we have to look at its key features, firstly, you have to say that they are physically smaller than the conventional reactors, which makes them suitable for locations which are not ideal for larger nuclear plants. Secondly, the systems can be prefabricated and shipped to installation sites, which reduces the construction costs and time. And lastly, they use the nuclear fission to generate heat and produce energy. If we have to talk about the advantages of the SMRs, see, firstly, due to their smaller size, the small modular reactors can be installed in areas which are unsuitable for larger reactors. Secondly, the factory assembled units reduce the custom design requirements, leading to savings in both construction costs and also the time. Thirdly, the SMRs can be deployed gradually to match the rising energy demand. Furthermore, the SMRs can be installed into existing grids or in remote or off-grid areas, which makes them ideal for rural electrification and also the regions with limited transmission lines. Next, you can see that a subset of SMRs are designed to produce up to 10 megawatt electric, which would be suitable for inaccessible regions, emergency backup power, or as a replacement for the diesel generators in rural areas. Then, passive safety systems rely on natural processes, which reduces the need for human intervention. Additionally, the inherent safety features like the low power and also the operating pressure increase safety margins and thereby reducing the risk of radioactivity released during the accidents. Lastly, the SMRs require less frequent refueling, which is every 3 to 7 years, compared to 1 or 2 years for the conventional reactors. Furthermore, some of the SMRs are designed to run for up to 30 years without refueling. The next article here says that the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin on Monday said that the state share in the divisible pool of taxes should be increased to 50% as the multiple factors which are added to their financial burden. In this context, let us briefly look at the Finance Commission, then about the recommendations of the 15th Finance Commission. See, the Finance Commission in India is a quasi-judicial body which is constituted by the President of India under the provisions of the Constitution of India. Since it is established directly under the provisions of the Constitution, it is a constitutional body. You have to remember that it is not a permanent body, and the President of India, whoever is there, constitutes the Finance Commission every 5th year or at such earlier times as he or she may consider necessary. Then, these are the functions of the Finance Commission. You can just have a brief look. Then, moving on to look at the recommendations of the 15th Finance Commission. See, it has recommended maintaining the vertical devolution at 41%, which is the same as its interim report for 2020-21. Know that it is the exact same level of 42% of the divisible pool as recommended by the 14th Finance Commission. Furthermore, it has made the required adjustment of about 1% due to the changed status of the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir into the new UTs of the Ladakh and the Jammu and Kashmir. Then, for the horizontal devolution, it has suggested 12.5% weightage to demographic performance, 45% to income, 15% each to the population and area, 10% to the forest and ecology, and lastly 2.5% to tax and fiscal efforts. Then, before looking at the revenue deficit grants to the states, what is this revenue deficit at all? See, the revenue deficit is defined as the difference between the revenue or the current expenditure and the revenue receipts that includes the tax and non-tax. So, it has recommended post-devolution revenue deficit grants amounting to about 3 trillion over the 5-year period ending financial year 26. Notably, the number of states qualifying for the revenue deficit grants decreases from 17 in financial year 2022 to first year of the award period to 6 in the financial year 26 last year. Significantly, the total 15th Finance Commission transfers constitute about 34% of the estimated gross revenue receipts to the Union, leaving adequate fiscal space to meet its resource requirements and spending obligations on national development priorities. Then, along with the grants for municipal services and local government bodies, it also includes what? Performance-based grants for incubation of new cities and also health grants for the local governments. So, in the grants for the urban local bodies, basic grants are proposed only for cities or towns which are having a population of less than a million. Then for the million plus cities, the 100% of the grants are performance linked through the Million Plus Cities Challenge Fund. Know that this MCF amount is linked to the performance of these cities in improving their air quality and also meeting the service level benchmarks for urban drinking water supply, sanitation and solid waste management. The next article says that the Chief Justice of India Sanjeev Khanna on Monday recused himself from hearing a case involving illegal felling of trees in Delhi's protected ridge area, in which the LG has filed an affidavit in the Supreme Court in his personal capacity on the role in the felling of trees. In this context, let us talk about the power of the Chief Justice of India to recuse himself from hearing a case. See, it is related to maintaining the integrity, impartiality, and also the independence of the judiciary. So this recusal refers to the voluntary act of a judge withdrawing himself from a case due to a possible conflict of interest, bias, or other reasons that might compromise the fairness. Now, what is the constitutional or the legal basis for it? See, this ensures judicial independence, which is a basic part of the constitution. So the recusal ensures impartiality and also it upholds the trust of the public in the judiciary. But notably, the Constitution of India does not explicitly mention recusal. However, it is guided by the principles of natural justice and also the judicial ethics. So, we have something called the doctrine of bias, under which the judges must avoid actual bias or the appearance of bias, which is nothing but the ruling against the bias. Moreover, the bias may arise from personal interest, past association, or also involvement in the subject matter. These might be the reasons for the accusal. You can have a look. The next article is in the context of the G20 summit, which is being held now. See, these are the G20 countries comprising of different countries. Okay. Now, significantly, the G20 members represent around 85% of the global GDP, which is over 75% of the global trade and about two-thirds of the world population. See, this G20 was established in the year 1999 with the primary objective to promote international financial stability and sustainable development by facilitating dialogue among the major economies. Now, talking about its 2024 presidency, see, Brazil held the presidency of the G20 from December 1st of 2023 to 30th November of 2024. Know that the Brazil's presidency focuses on fostering global and also the reform of the international governance system. Moreover, the presidency sets the agenda for the summit, ensuring discussions reflect Brazil's commitment to building a more equitable and sustainable global future. But before that, India held the G20 presidency from December 1st of 2022 to November 30th of 2023. Notably, the G20 has no permanent secretariat, with the presidency supported by Troika comprising of the previous, current and the incoming presidencies. The next article says that India's GSAT N2, which is a communication satellite, was successfully launched by SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket in the early hours of Tuesday. So in this context, let us first talk about the G20 satellite, then about the NSIL. See, it is India's latest communication satellite. You have to know that it is a high-tech, heavy weighty satellite weighing 4,700 kgs. Also, it will have a high throughout capacity of 48 Gbps. Know that the satellite is made by the ISRO, which has 32 spot beams, and it has been made to cover all of India, but with a special emphasis on providing connectivity for the northeastern India. Significantly, the satellite will be owned and operated by the ISRO's commercial arm, which is the New Space India Limited, in short called the NSIL. Notably, ISRO opted for the SpaceX to launch this G20 because India's indigenous heavy rocket, which is the launch vehicle Mark III, lacks the capability to lift such a heavy satellite. Now, if we have to talk about the New Space India Limited, see, the NSIL was incorporated in March 2019 as a wholly owned government company under the administrative control of the Department of Space. Significantly, this NSIL is the commercial arm of ISRO with the primary responsibility of enabling Indian industries to take up high technology space related activities. Furthermore, it is also responsible for the promotion and commercial exploitation of the products and services emanating from the Indian space program. The next article says that the Global Forest Watch project monitoring the data said that India had lost 2.33 million hectares of the tree cover, which is devoid of the facts, ground reality and internationally accepted norms, according to the Union Environment Ministry and the Forest Survey of India. In this context, let us talk about the key highlights of the report. Before that, we will just see what is Global Forest Watch. See, this Global Forest Watch is an open source web application to monitor the global forests in near real time using satellite data and other sources. Furthermore, it is a project of the Washington-based non-profit research organization, which is the World Resources Institute. Now, if we look at the highlights of the Global Forest Watch's annual forest loss data with regards to India, see, India has lost 2.33 million hectares of tree cover since the year 2000, which is equivalent to a 6% decrease in the tree cover during this period. Furthermore, the country lost 4,14,000 hectares of humid primary forests from 2002 to 2023, making it 18% of tree cover loss in the same period. Notably, between 2001 and 2022, forests in India emitted 51 million tons of carbon dioxide, which is equivalent a year, and removed 141 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent a year. So, this represents a net carbon sink of 89.9 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent a year. Then, an average of 51 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent per year was released into the atmosphere as a result of the tree cover loss in India. Furthermore, the data showed that the 95% of the tree cover loss in India from 2013 to 2023 occurred within the natural forests. Also, this data showed that 5 states accounted for 60% of all tree cover losses between 2001 and 2020-23. Notably, the Assam had the maximum tree cover loss at 3,24,000 hectares compared to an average of 66,600 hectares. The last article of the day says that the Union Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change informed the nation about the notification of the Guru Ghasidas-Tamor Pingla Tiger Reserve of Chhattisgarh as the 56th Tiger Reserve of the country. In this context, let us talk about the Tiger Reserve. See, it is located in the northern part of the state Chhattisgarh, bordering Madhya Pradesh and Jharkhand. Know that it is formed after integrating the regions of Guru Ghasidas National Park and Tamor Pingla Sanctuary. Notably, it will be Chhattisgarh's 4th Tiger Reserve and the other 3 being Indravati, Udanti Sitanadi and Achana Kammar. Moreover, it will be the 3rd largest Tiger Reserve in the country, but significantly, the Nagarjuna Sagar Srisailam Tiger Reserve in the Andhra Pradesh is the largest in the country. Then, what is a Tiger Reserve? See, Tiger Reserve is considered as critical for tiger conservation, which consists of 2 parts. Firstly, the core or the critical tiger habitat, which is the national park or the sanctuary status, and then the buffer of the peripheral area, which is a lesser degree of habitat protection if required. Know that currently there are 55 tiger reserves in the country, which is the Dholpur Karauli, which is the 50th one, declared in 2023. Now this being the 56th one, making it the total to 56. Then, how are the tiger reserves notified? See, the tiger reserves are notified by the state governments as per the provisions of Section 38V of the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 on the advice of the National Tiger Conservation Authority. Then, with respect to the alteration and denotification, firstly, no alteration in boundaries of the tiger reserve shall be made except on the recommendation of the National Tiger Conservation Authority and the approval of the National Board for Wildlife, in short called the NBWL. Notably, the NBWL is a statutory body constituted under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, responsible for the promotion of the conservation and development of the wildlife and forests. Furthermore, no state government shall denotify a tiger reserve except in public interest with approval of the NTCA and NBWL. So, in this video, we have discussed 10 articles in total for the prelims UPSC CSE 2025. The sources we have taken are the Hindu, Indian Express and the PIB, and know that this video will be released by 10 AM every day. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. Thank you.